Hi folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always a huge thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan. Regular viewers and subscribers will know that I'm really fortunate that I have a couple of permissions, some local woodland that I'm able to go out and have permission to go and use. And one of those woodlands is a community woodland, and it's managed by some great friends of mine. They're becoming better friends of mine, and every now and then they utilise their woodlands to deliver some courses around the subjects that you'd expect to be delivered in woodlands. Now, unfortunately, in the past, I've not been able to attend any of those courses. They've just clashed with other things, and I've never been able to make it until today. The date is the 14th of October, it's the middle of October, and they've brought us together in the woods for a day, best part of 6 or 7 hours, to have a course, an experience called Conversations with Chestnuts. And a number of local forestry management experts and woodworkers, if that's the right term, they're coming together to talk to us about the chestnut, the chestnut family, the uses of them both from a food perspective, from a woodcraft perspective. I believe we're going to be coppicing some, we're going to be working some into fence posts, into shingles, and I'm sure many other things as well. And of course I will have my eye on the things that I can take away and try and reproduce for when I'm out wild camping and bushcrafting in the woods. So why don't you join me for the rest of this video in the woods here today, and hopefully learn a little bit, like I am, along the way about chestnuts. So we started the day off with an overview, a health and safety brief and a breakdown as to what it is that we'll be covering in the day, as well as some introductions between everybody that was there, before Christine took us around to an area of the wood that they have attempted to protect from deer, and as you can see there's a significant growth difference between those areas that are within the fenced area and those areas that are outside. Tom then spoke to us about coppicing, and whilst this wasn't of immediate interest to me, there were lots of small forest, small woodland owners there, so he talked through the process and the thought process for coppicing before giving us a demonstration using the chainsaw as to how he would go about safely coppicing. And it was great to know that we'd be using these trees and this timber and these limbs for our practical aspects later on in the day. So we were able to see everything from it growing in the ground to being coppiced through to us actually using it for real products. We were then given an introduction as to how chestnut could be used from a products perspective by a guy called Andrew, and he talks us through some of the work that he does to utilise this great wood, before giving us a breakdown and some practical demonstrations of some of the things that we'd be doing later on in the day, including splitting the logs lengthways, using a specific type of axe that kind of cuts in one direction. It's got ever such a slight curvature to the blade to allow easy fashioning of points, as he's doing here in this video. He then showed us about shaving the wood to take off just the top layer of bark, and using the vise and the clamp that you can see there in the background. And then using what I think he said was a froe for splitting the wood lengthways again. And he would utilise this wood for making small types of fence posts for gardeners and for people that wanted a specific type of fencing. And again, he utilised the same tool for splitting much thicker pieces of log, and he split these down with using again a mallet and a froe to start to make what I think he called was shillings, which were a type of tile. You can see him here having processed the wood down to about a thumb thickness. He's using a draw knife here to smooth that edge of wood off there using a draw horse. And then it was my time. Tried to avoid kneecapping myself here. I was using a sledgehammer, small lump hammer, and also some steel, some metal pegs here to drive the wood apart, some wedges. But it's interesting to know, and I've seen many people on YouTube utilise wood itself instead of the metal wedges. So you're using the wood, you're crafting the wood to actually be able to help you split further pieces of wood. And this was quite interesting. I quite enjoyed doing this. I was able to get a nice clean cut, so that was quite an enjoyable aspect here. And here I am just about to put in that final wedge, drive the wood apart, and we can see that we've got two relatively evenly split pieces of wood that we could then manufacture from that point on. And here I am doing just that. Andrew's helping me in the background there to hold it steady and using the vise, and I'm using that particular tool to take off very thin slivers of bark, and I'm just about to finish off having done both ends of that piece of wood. I'm now going to split it again using the mallet, and I think it was called a froe, to split that lengthways, split it into 3 pieces. And again, that was quite an interesting insight into how to use those sorts of tools for larger scale wood crafting. And of course, no day talking about chestnuts would be complete without roasting some chestnuts on an open fire. So there we have it. There's a visual and an audio summary of my day spent in the woods with some old friends, some new friends, having conversations with chestnuts. It was a great day. I took a lot away from it personally, and I've made a few notes here of things that I took away. In my local area, where I kind of walk and do my tree and plant ID on a daily basis, there are no sweet chestnuts at all. So whilst I've spotted them in the past, and whilst I've looked at them in various guidebooks and things and ID books, it was really, really good to spend a day completely surrounded, literally, both mentally and physically, completely surrounded by sweet chestnuts. So that was really great from my tree and plant identification knowledge growth. It was good to do that. I've seen lots of people on YouTube and in the flesh using the various techniques and tools that Andrew demonstrated for us during the day, but I've never done them myself. So it was a good opportunity to utilise some skills that I've admired from afar. It was good to get closer to that. I may not use them myself a great deal in the future, but it was good to get hands on. It was good to understand how other people would do that. And what was also very interesting from a wood usage perspective, I know that sweet chestnut bark can be used for cordage, it can be used for basket weaving. I've seen some articles where people have woven baskets from the bark. So I attempted to take some of the limbs that had been felled and score down them with my knife, and then to try and peel off the bark, but it just didn't work. I was advised that it wouldn't work, but that didn't stop me trying. Wrong time of the year. I should really have been trying that in the spring when the sap is rising, when there's a lot of when the tree is very moist, when there's a lot of sap and moisture between the bark and the wood itself. That didn't stop me ignoring all that advice and trying anyway, but it was good to try, and it was good to know that it's just not very easy or indeed possible at this time of the year. Something for me mentally to add to my to-do list in the spring of 2018. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I hope you've taken something from it and enjoyed me sort of doing things outdoors that you don't normally see me doing and that I'm not normally doing. I certainly enjoyed it, and I certainly hope that you did as well. If you did, please do give it that thumbs up. I'd always appreciate it. If there's anybody in your network that you think would benefit from this, please do share it with them. And as always, if you're not yet a subscriber, it'd be wonderful if you could click that subscribe button, be in this bottom corner of the screen here. You'll become a subscriber and you won't miss out on any future videos from me. Big thank you as always for watching. Take care.